Assalamu alaikum. So today I'm going to start with a new episode regarding narrative writing. So in the last video we learned about a simple technique of watermelon strategy by which we actually understand that how do we write a narrative. In this episode, I am going to tell you about 4 different techniques that we can use to make our narratives or our stories more interesting. So let's begin. So as you can see on the slide, there are 4 writing techniques that you can see, and they are backstory, flashback, flash forward, and foreshadowing. Starting with the backstory. So, backstory is basically a strategy that is used when we are writing a story, when we are narrating something, and we want to tell about the character inside or in the story that has some connection with the past. So while we are narrating a story, we go in the past and we tell that what some specific incident happened due to which the nature of the character is like that. And the example that I've given here is basically taken from Shakespeare, King Lear part, and basically that text has or reads about tells us about 2 sisters, and the 2 sisters they always have a tiff between them, and it remains. So using backstory, we go in the past and we tell that because the father was more inclined towards one daughter than the other, that's why both are both have that rivalry between them going on. And obviously whatever technique that we are going to uh, use, they are going to make our story more interesting and more richer, more creative. So the second strategy is flashback. Flashbacks are basically those strategies. Basically, flashback is a strategy when we are narrating a story, and we are in the present, and then we go in the past. We tell about some specific event that took place in the past that has a connection with the present, and using flashbacks, so we go in the flashback and we um, uh, explain about the event, and then we come back to the present. Example that is written here is basically um, that a man is about to give a speech to a large audience on biology, and suddenly he remembers playing with frogs and toads in his backyard as a curious child, and he smiles at the memory, and then he begins to speak to the audience about a new groundbreaking finding about frogs. So that is basically flashback. Flashback technique has been used here, and that definitely is going to make any story more interesting. Coming to the next strategy, that is basically flash forward. And flash forward technique is basically opposite of flashback, and it is usually used in literary as well as cinematographic technique. So actually, although that you can see here that whether we start with the if the logical sequence of tenses is past, present, future. So basically, flash forward is when we are using 1, 3, 2, and that is past, future, present, or future, past, present. But usually I tell my students that when you are using flash forward technique, that is when you are going to mention the ending at first. So whatever ending you have of your story, you are going to mention it in the first paragraph, and then you are going to move back to the past or present to describe or narrate whatever story you have in mind. So the example that is I have given here for is that and I'm reading that she woke up to the sound of the ambulance. Her head was throbbing and her face was resting in a warm sticky pool. The touched When she touched her forehead and brought her fingers in front of her eyes, blood, she thought to herself. 2 hours earlier. And then 2 hours earlier, what happened? I'm late, I'll never make it on time, she thought to herself. The woman grabbed an untidy stack of papers from her desk, picked up her purse and heels, and ran out of the door of her office. So when she reached her car, she tossed her shoes and everything else into the passenger seat, threw the car in reverse, and then sped out of the exit of the car park without paying any attention to what was behind her. Uh, and that basically is the example of flash forward. Last but not least, I'm going to tell you about foreshadowing. It's a literary device that a writer uses as an advance hint of what is to come later in the story. So foreshadowing is basically appears at the beginning of a story or maybe a chapter, and it helps the reader develop expectations about the upcoming events. A writer may implement foreshadowing in many different ways. So the simple basically objective of foreshadowing is that it's a technique that writers use to add tension in a story, and it also give details or hints of the upcoming events in a story. So the example that I've used here is that a character's thoughts can be foreshadowed. For example, I told myself that this is the end of my trouble, but I didn't believe myself. And the narration can foreshadow by telling you something that is going to happen. Some details are obviously left out, but the suspense is created to keep readers interested. One more example that I can give is that suppose that a girl is making her hair, so she opens a drawer where her brush is kept. Other than the brush, one can see a gun as well. So the gun has been shown or mentioned in the story, and then the girl takes out the brush and she brushes her hair and then put the brush back and she leaves. Now the gun that have been mentioned in the story, that is going to make or will be used in the upcoming events that are coming. So that's it for today. I hope that you have understood all 4 techniques that you can use in story writing. With this, I would like to say that don't forget to like this video, subscribe my channel for more upcoming videos regarding IELTS, narrative writing, and I'm also going to start videos and lessons regarding O levels, English language 1, 1, 2, 3, and English as a first language 0500. So lots of things are coming up, so stay tuned. Thank you.